And for more, Cai Cai, Chief of Gender Equality and Social Inclusion at the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, joins us now from Bangkok. Well, thanks for joining us at this time, Cai Cai. So based on that story that we just heard there, how do you respond to some of the concerns that we heard from companies that they are not sure what people with disabilities can do, or that they even have the facilities that's suitable for their needs?
Yes, I think this is a major concern for most companies who consider it as an obligation to hire a person with disabilities. First, they consider them as not capable of functioning as a productive employees. Secondly, they think that there are not enough facilities which can accommodate person with disabilities. But I think the essential action here is for the CEOs or top leaderships of the companies to change their mindset. This is the major barriers for person with disabilities to function properly as any of us is not because of their disability, their impairment. It is the interaction between their impairment, whether it's a physical, mental, intellectual, with the environmental barriers. If they are given reasonable accommodation to enable them to unleash their potentials, they could be just as productive and could be even bringing more skills. We have noticed many of them are very talented at ICT and art, and they function very well as research managers. So it's essential to tap into these talents by companies. Thank you.
Also, Tata, based on the data and the reports that are out there, is there a sense that in Asia or East Asia specifically that there is less tolerance, that the chance of those with disabilities being left behind is just higher than the West?
I would not think it is a particular discrimination or bias in East Asia or in Asia. It's a global issue. That's why right now there's a global movement on disability inclusion. It is a universal issue. There's a emerging trend now by the corporate sector to formulate a lines to encourage the private sector to hire person with disabilities, championed by some major companies, so-called Valuable 500. And also there's a global ILO business disability and business network. So these comprises companies all over the world. They are all trying to tackle this issue. I would not agree there's more discrimination in Asia than the rest of the world.
And I'm glad you clarified that this is a universal, it's a global issue. What about gender disparity, though, among individuals with disabilities?
Yes, gender itself has been an issue. It has been there for several decades in terms of advocacy and movement. And now we see more and more female CEOs and leaders as well. But if you combine gender with disability, it becomes a major difficult issue because women with disabilities face more discriminations. It's a double jeopardy, if you say, not only in terms of daily life, but in workplace. So some particular discrimination combined, with gender and disability make it a particular difficult for them.
Also, not all societies are moving at the same pace on this development. What is a good starting point, your advice there, and where should emphasis be placed in terms of fostering greater understanding as well as inclusion?
A starting point would be really awareness raising toward fostering an inclusive culture. And we really need a whole of society approach, including the government, the top leadership of the government, the private sector, the CSOs, NGOs, and the schools all come together to talk about inclusion and diversity, and also, see the person with disability as assets, not a burden, not a victim, not of subject of charity. So gradually you formulate this paradigm shift toward perceiving person with disabilities as active change agents, talent pool, and also they represent a huge consumer base globally in terms of our population. 16% have some sort of disabilities. Combining with their families and their loved ones, you are talking about 3.4 billion people connected with disability. This is a huge consumer base. So we have to look at this in terms of both from the rights angle, the rights of person with disabilities to participate in our society and economy fully and effectively, but also considered as an economic opportunity.
That's right. And still much more needs to be done for this group of individuals. Thanks so very much, Cai Cai from the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific.